Coming Home, a podcast with Lane Kennedy. Welcome back. Hi, friend. How are you? Lane Kennedy here. So glad you've decided to come back and listen to this mini series that I'm having all about Yoga Nidra and finding a mindful practice and whatever that looks like for you. And today I have another guest with me, another guide, instructor, amazing human being. And you know what? I'm so grateful that I have these relationships that I can share with you. I met Zoe Kanat, and she's from Australia. And you know, if you've been listening to the show for a while, you know how much I love Australia. Mm-hmm. And when I met her, I was like, oh, I need to have you in my life. So she's going to jump on with us today. She is also a Yoga Nidra guide. Zoe, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Lane. It's great to be here with you.
Yay!
So excited.
So, see, you can just listen to the accent, you guys, and be totally happy, right? So good. So, Zoe, I want to share you with the audience. And I know a little bit about you. I know about your family. I know about your history, but our audience doesn't. So why don't you give a quick taste of who you are and what you're doing in the world right now?
Okay. So I am 48. I had to stop and think for a second. I'm 48 years old. And I was introduced to yoga and meditation in my early 20s, and it was more of a physical thing for me at the time. And then I had children in my late 20s and early 30s, and I actually suffered from postnatal depression. And that's when meditation and mindfulness was like, amazing and helpful. And so it sort of set me on the path. And then I studied psychotherapy and counseling and did that for a while. And mindfulness came along. And now I teach mindfulness and meditation and Yoga Nidra, which is a super passion of mine. And I came across it through many teachers who encouraged me to lie down while I was meditating. And then I just fell into Yoga Nidra in many different ways. And now I do all of it. I teach all of it to adults, children, corporates. Yeah.
So let me back up a little bit, okay?
Yeah.
Because I feel like people just don't find themselves on a cushion. They find themselves on a cushion or a mat for a reason.
Yeah.
And I want you to let's go specifically back to finding yourself lying down for Yoga Nidra. How did you get yourself there? What brought you to that position?
I guess it was a combination of teachers and feeling absolutely exhausted and wanting to meditate, but sitting in meditation and literally needing to lie down. And then feeling like I'm doing something wrong, like this is not meditation. You're not doing it properly. And then I came across a teacher, an insight teacher in Melbourne called Jess Hewen. And I went on one of her retreats, her silent retreats, and she encouraged us to lie down. And little did I know that she was doing Yoga Nidra. And so I think it was after every lunchtime, she'd get us to lie down and she'd guide us through a Yoga Nidra practice. And it totally blew my mind. Like, it was one of the first times I lost the sense and feeling of my physical body,
Mm-hmm.
and just went completely into that internal space that is so expansive and so wide and deep. And yeah, I was just like, wow, if I can get here lying down, why wouldn't I do it? And then from there, these teachers just kept popping up as it happens.
Yeah.
When you open to something. And so, yeah, quite a few different teachers who were teaching Yoga Nidra just kept coming into my space, and I just kept following that path.
Mm-hmm.
And it just felt right. It felt very intuitive. It felt very natural to me. Yeah.
Yeah. So this, when I talk about Yoga Nidra, people just like look at me and shake their head and they say, yeah, But then there's something about this being exhausted. I'm like, okay, you're exhausted. You're tired. Do you want to try it? And they're like, sure. They don't understand it.
Yeah.
Right. There's a big roadblock because people think meditation, they're going to be sitting there upright, right? And then they think yoga, they're going to have to be doing exercise or movement, right?
Yes.
There's such a big disconnect with it.
Yeah.
And when you just lie down and do the practice and you go to that deep, expansive place that you were talking about, like magic happens.
Yeah.
So I would love for you to share something really magical that has happened over the course of you digging into this practice.
So many different things.
I know it's hard.
Personally, and then with students. So where should I go? Myself?
Well, let's keep it personal, and then maybe we'll dig into others too, because that could be good and juicy.
Yeah. Okay. So again, I was on a retreat, and I was with this particular teacher, Jess Hewen, and she invited another teacher in to take the nidras, and it was a women's retreat, and her style of nidra was very, very intimate with the body, and we went through the layers.
I'm like, how intimate is that? What does that mean?
Do you want me to get...
Like, wait a minute. I don't know about this.
Okay, she called them Yoni Nidras.
Ah, okay, got it.
Okay.
Yep. That is intimate, ladies. Okay, so some of our listeners are not going to know what that is. So let's share.
Let's share. Okay, so it's a yoni is a vagina. And so it was really connecting to that powerful part of the female body. And it was very, very profound. But what happened was in the first practice that I did with this woman was that I literally turned into, I felt like a rainbow. So I had these colors just exploding out of my experience. So it's hard to describe because it's not really, it's not a physical, it's a combination of physical and emotional feeling. It's like this image, and I just felt like these colors were just emanating out of me. And then I had this feeling of just being fully connected with the entire universe as you can. And at the end of it, I was just left with feeling so open, and my heart was just expanded. Yeah, I felt incredibly connected to myself and the universe, and incredibly calm and centered and clear.
Okay, I have to ask.
Yeah.
Was it orgasmic?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't. Good question. No, it was more of just a very subtle, calming sensation.
Yep. I know. I mean, I know what you're talking about because I have been in that same kind of.
And it grew from the Yoni and then just expanded out into space.
Yep.
So that's where the power came from. And then it just kind of expanded out and out and out through these waves of colors. That's how I can explain it. I've actually never really verbalized that.
It's amazing. That is an amazing experience to have.
Yeah.
And to be able to live from that, right? And to have that experience, like it's life-changing.
It is life-changing. It really is, yes.
That is the power of this practice. It's like when, again, when you're trying to share that with somebody new and they're just like exhausted, depressed, full of anxiety, and you're telling them this practice is going to change your life. There's such a disconnect.
And such a sense of comfort, like everything is okay and I'm okay and I will be okay.
Yes.
And so then I found Karen Brody.
Yep. And so for you guys that don't know, Karen Brody is this amazing teacher here in the States. And she has a whole program called Daring to Rest. And Zoe is actually a facilitator of the Daring to Rest program.
And I just got my certification a couple of weeks ago. Yay. And so I was listening to a podcast actually with her being interviewed, and she talked about her program and the 3 stages of it, which is rest, release, and rise. She doesn't want to rest, release, and rise. And so, I was really interested, and I grabbed her book because she's written a book and read the book and just said, this is definitely me. And it's an incredibly powerful program as well, and it's growing, and it's really beautiful. And the stages are so simple. And the first bit of it is rest, which is just absolutely 100% what we all need to do to be able to rise in our lives, which is sort of the opposite to what a lot of society is projecting these days. Every
woman I know needs rest.
Every person really.
Every person. This is true.
But it's her program is directed to women. It's for women. But as we know, when you practice Yoga Nidra and you start to rise up and you start to feel better, then that spreads into your family, your friends, your community. Wherever you go, you take that and share it.
That's such an amazing practice. And so now you are a facilitator, a guide, and is this your main thing that you do, that you share with the world now?
It's a combination. So I teach mindfulness and meditation, and I do that in different places. I do it at a studio in Melbourne called Happy Melon. It's, they do yoga and Pilates and fitness and meditation. And I teach at schools. I even teach at the university here in Melbourne, Monash University. I go into corporate organizations. So Yoga Nidra is kind of my passion. It's what I absolutely love to do, and it's my core practice. And I would love to share it in everything that I do, but it's slowly being received a little bit more into the wider community. But so I do my own workshops every couple of months. I run workshops just on with Yoga Nidra. And So
for our listener, for our lady who's listening, and she's like, what, why, how am I going to start? How am I going to start?
Yeah.
What do you tell her? Like,
it's a big question. And I guess it depends on where you're living. But you've got to find a teacher that you connect with.
Oh my God, Zoe, I'm so glad you said that.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. Keep going.
Yeah. So you really, because there's a lot of talking in Yoga Nidra, you have to be able to be receptive to the guide. And, it's so personal, because you can listen to a guided meditation and go, oh my God, that voice is just grating on me and I can't bear it. And so, yeah, number one, find a teacher that you resonate with. And that might be online. So, as we were discussing earlier on, there's a lot of apps around, and I have a couple of recorded Yoga Nidras on the app Insight Timer, which is enormous, home to something like, I think it's 8 million people now meditate on Insight Timer around the world. So you can have a look online, and then I guess see if it's possible to find someone face to face in whatever city you're living, so that, because it's really, it's not essential. It's definitely not essential to have that face to face connection, but it's really nice. I love to teach with people actually in the room. I can see and touch and feel, and that's, I guess it's kind of old fashioned now in a way, because of the online world.
I think this is so this question came up to me last night. I was flying my niece home, and I was on the plane, and I sat next to this gentleman who works at Google, who is, he has access to the Search Within program. He's got access to, all kinds of stuff, that they have yoga right there. And he said, so how do I start? He asked this. He goes, I have everything at my fingertips. And I said, okay, go to a studio, get out of Google. Yeah. Right. Like, get out of that office and go be with other people. Find a teacher that you can connect with, because there's something magical that happens in the room, right? In a live setting. And he said, well, if I can't do that, then what? And I said, then go to Insight Timer and listen to my friend Zoe. But there is something about like finding a teacher. Like, it sounds like you found Jess, right? Like that you went back and you found her and you worked with her, and it's hooking into the teacher. But then there's also, I want to say, a community, right? Like, I know in my classes here in San Francisco, there's a core group of people that are hanging around, that are looking, that are trying to up-level their life in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
And Yoga Nidra allows that.
Yes. And also, so when you go to a class, and you start to connect with other like-minded people, that energy and the cohesion that comes with the group, and Jenna, our teacher, Jenna Roman, talks about it a lot, where when you're in the group, the energy between the group lifts you up. And, it's like an upgrading already, just being with other people who are doing the same thing as you and have the same interests and wanting to travel in the same direction.
That's so true.
Yeah. And so I find at the studio that I teach at, there's people are making friends, like really good friends. It's a community, and it's so nice. People just like to come in and chat and hang out with each other, and you share things, with each other, and learn more things, and so it is really, there's a big advantage to going to a live, a class that you can physically be with other people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do that, you guys. You guys can find a studio or Insight Timer.
Exactly. It's always a fallback.
Yeah.
And we're so lucky to have the online world.
Yeah. It's good.
Yeah.
And so do you have a daily practice of Yoga Nidra?
I do.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you have a particular place in your house, or do you just like right there in your bed? Like, what's your story?
Such a good question, because I think people also have this sort of idea of, oh, I can't do it in my bed because that's like wrong. And so it really depends on where I'm at. So my ideal sort of practice is that I wake up early, and in winter I often stay in bed. It's so cold. But I also have a space in my house,
Nice.
which is like a little study. And with the Daring to Rest program, we call it the Rest Cave. And so, you can create, and it doesn't have to be, a whole big room. You can literally, your rest cave can be your blanket, your pillow, your eye mask, a bolster for your knees to support. So you want to feel really supported when you're lying in Yoga Nidra. You want to feel like your body is so comfortable. So my ideal is to get up, do it in the morning, and then off I go. And if I don't have time, because Yoga Nidras are often quite long, can be. Yeah. And I like to do a longer practice. So if I run out of time, I might just do a shorter meditation sit, or shorter just sometimes I just do the body scan, the 61-point scan, which is amazing and very beneficial. Yeah. And then I might try and find some time in the afternoon.
You double dip.
Yes. I do.
Oh my God.
It's incredible. Yeah.
Okay. See, you're ahead of me. See, I'm loving this. See, Zoe? Oh my God. Okay. I got to start doing that.
Oh yeah. So if I can find some time in the afternoon, I'll just grab it and then lie down, do a Nidra, and it really helps the rest of the day. It really supports. Right. And it's such a treat, Could you imagine?
Oh my God. Yeah, I can. Before I pick up my kid. Yes. I didn't even think about that. You see, I didn't even think about that.
Really? Yeah. I mean, you could do it in the car.
Yeah, that's exactly.
Park around the corner from school or wherever in a little side street. I've done this many times before.
So
and
cheesy.
Just, put my chair back.
Yep.
And off I go. Close my eyes.
Such a good idea. Oh my God. I could talk to you forever. Such a good idea, Zoe. Thank you. Where are the people going to find you? Where are these ladies going to find you?
So obviously, if you don't live in Melbourne, Australia, if you do live in Melbourne, Australia, then you can come and find me. You can look at my website and see if I'm running any workshops, which I've got one coming up in a couple of weeks on the 11th of August at Happy Melon. And then I do a regular meditation class on a Wednesday morning. It's a bit early, 7 a.m. at Happy Melon. But other than that, it's Insight Timer. I've got, I think, 3 or 4 Nidras, maybe 3 Nidras, and then some other beautiful practices as well that are a little shorter.
Yeah, you guys check her out. Zoe Kanat on Insight Timer. Easy. She comes right up. Boom. She's right there. You can't miss her. Make sure to say hi to her over on Instagram. Just say, hey, I heard you with Lane talking about Yoga Nidra. Just say hi. And if you want to grab a practice, make sure to jump on over to lanekennedy.com/free YN practice and get the ceremony practice that I have up there, all for you, all for free. And it's just going to bring you into that place of comfort and ease and great expansion, this like yummy space that we're talking about here. Zoe, thank you so much for being on the show with me today.
Thank you for having me. It's great to chat with you, Lane.
Always good to connect with you.
Mm.
May this day bring you something light, something bright, and something so wonderful and juicy so that you may be the best you. Until next time, my friends, take good care. Bye for now.
Don't forget, grab the app. Start your journey with Yoga Nidra today. Thanks for listening.
Coming Home, a podcast with Lane Kennedy.